tonight's film deals with the supernatural as a possessed man attempts to destroy his family. Although edited for television, it may not be suitable for young viewers. Parental discretion is advised.
Thank you so much for joining us on another installment of What's Your Favorite Movie? America's favorite movie podcast that no one listens to. Hey there, hi there, ho there, it's your old buddy Ed South, and you should do yourself a favor. Hop on over to Twitter and follow the show at WYF Movie Podcast, where you will get all kinds of pictures and bonus content related to this and each and every episode, plus tons of us plugging the show so that you can share it with your followers, and it can be one great, big, happy, what's your favorite podcast family. You can also follow me, Ed South, at Ed South, and that would be a delight for your senses as well. Hey, What's Your Favorite Movie is a podcast celebrating favorite films. Each show we have guests come on and tell us personal stories about how a movie has touched their lives deeply, and then I tell a deep personal story about a film like Mannequin 2 on the Move. Our guest today is part of the What's Your Favorite Movie family. She's been on the show several times before, and she's here again to talk about one of her great loves in life, the television show Twin Peaks, which is returning to television via the Showtime network. Diana, welcome back to What's Your Favorite Movie?
Thank you, Ed.
You were here for episode 4, back in our infancy,
Indeed.
When you said one of your favorite movies was Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me.
Yep.
Is it still one of your favorite movies?
It is indeed. It is
so
indeed.
On all points. And just to double check, on your second appearance, in I believe episode 19, you said your favorite 25-minute Christmas animated short was Mickey's Christmas Carol. Is that still true?
That has not changed.
That is excellent. So we are clear on all points. And Twin Peaks, one of your favorite shows. Would you say it's your favorite TV show of all time?
I don't know. Maybe. It's debatable, but it certainly has a special place in my heart. So,
give me 2 other contenders for your favorite TV show of all time.
Oh, wow.
Can you do that? Just any 2.
That's a tough one.
Any two. Daria? Did you like Daria?
Daria. I didn't watch a whole lot of Daria at the time. I've been compared multiple times to Daria.
I don't know where that came from. Did you wear glasses and that's why? So that's it. Love Connection, was that one of your favorites?
I'm a little bit upset to realize how many episodes of that show I saw.
It's coming back on.
Oh, yay.
Love Connection was on at 10 o'clock for an hour, so it was always just one of those things you just put on and watch, whatever. But we're not here to talk about Love Connection. You can't give us any other favorite shows of life. Just one other favorite show. Felicity, right?
I enjoyed that show. Parts of that show still, I think, hold up pretty well. Parts of it, not so much.
The part where she cuts her hair does not hold up well.
That part is fine, but by the last couple of seasons of that show, it had gotten pretty bad.
So, Twin Peaks was on in 1991, and Showtime is bringing it back. If you're listening to this episode here fresh, when it comes out, it's coming on this weekend. It's an 18-hour limited event series, and it debuts with a 2-hour premiere on Sunday, May 21st at 9 o'clock. Following that, Showtime subscribers will have access to the 3rd and 4th hours on Showtime Anytime or Showtime On Demand. And then in the second week, Twin Peaks will air the 3rd and 4th episodes back-to-back, followed by a weekly scenario where it comes out every week, which is kind of weird and wacky and foreign to us now because we're used to consuming, especially something as anticipated as a Twin Peaks reboot, reunion, redux.
Yeah.
You would expect to be sitting there and binging the whole thing, but you're going to have to wait week for week after the first 4 episodes.
I mean, yeah, I'm a little bit upset that it's not all coming out at the same time, but at the same time, it's probably a good thing that I'm not sitting there for 18 hours watching this show.
So and you can savor it week by week. But on the second week, they're going to give you 2 episodes, or the first week, they're going to give you the episode 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, I guess, early. So in a way, you could say it's a Twin Leaks. I was waiting for everybody.
Let's not say that.
I was waiting for the audience to laugh there.
No.
So the new show is directed entirely by David Lynch, and it picks up 25 years after the inhabitants of a quaint northwestern town were stunned when their homecoming queen, Lara Palmer, was shockingly murdered. Shockingly. Now, it's been 25 years, so we can go with spoilers, and either you know or you don't care. Chances are it's the latter. But
Laura Palmer being dead isn't exactly a spoiler.
No, that's what the whole show revolved around, right?
Yes.
And how was she murdered? Was she shockingly murdered, or it was just shocking that she was murdered?
A little of both.
A little of both. A little column A.
That's right.
Nobody found her murdered and was like, whatever.
Whatever.
So she washed up on the shores of Twin Peaks River wrapped in plastic.
Wrapped in plastic.
Wrapped in plastic. And how was she murdered? What instrument? Explain how she was murdered in Clue style. Who did it and with what? And in what room?
It was in the conservatory.
Yes.
No, I don't think we need to get into that.
She was murdered with a candlestick. I don't know anything.
With a candlestick.
See what I did there, folks, is Clue is another one of Diana's favorite movies. I tied it all in together a little bit.
Sort of.
Did we announce you as our Twin Peaks expert? That's what your title is on the show now.
That is my official title.
Twin Peaks expert. So we're going to talk about the new Twin Peaks show coming out because, number one, I thought people might be searching Twin Peaks and then maybe our show will pop up in their search engines. But also we're going to look at some of the films of the cast members of Twin Peaks because I am fascinated with looking at someone's filmography and watching the peaks and valleys of their career. So a few people... Twin Peaks was really popular when it came out.
Super popular.
First season. And by the end of the second season...
Not so much.
Nobody really cared anymore. Except you were sitting there crying when they canceled it. Did they cancel it or did it go out of production?
They canceled it, yeah.
So I'm always fascinated with actors and actresses' careers and where it maybe quote unquote all went wrong or whatever. So we have some interesting stories and look at some of the films of some of the cast members from Twin Peaks, and we will get into all that in just a minute. But we're gonna go start off with everyone's favorite segment of the show that has nothing to do with movies. Let's enjoy a beverage.
Excellent.
If I could afford a theme song, we'd have one. So on Twin Peaks. It only happened a few times, but it became an iconic part of the show, and I hate the word iconic, but I think it fits there. An iconic thing of the show was Agent Cooper, played by Kylie MacLachlan, would go into the diner. The diner's name was...
Double R Diner.
Double R Diner, there you go. Not to be confused with Roy Rogers' Double R Bar Burger.
Correct.
And he would order himself a cherry pie and a coffee. Is that all he ever ordered, was the cherry pie and the coffee? No, he had a burger sometimes. Right?
I'm sorry, I can't recount for you everything that he ate in the Double R, but...
Maybe he had a Double R Bar Burger. So, but the cherry pie and coffee became synonymous with Twin Peaks, right? And the little catchphrase or phrase that would be on coffee mugs and T-shirts was, what? That's a damn fine cup of coffee? And
damn fine coffee is very much a Twin Peaks thing, yes.
There you go. So... It dawned on me later, we could have just had coffee. That could have been the beverage that I'm tying in. But instead, I like to get a little creative, so we're going to try some cherry pie soda. How does that sound? From Melba's Fixins. It's cherries and cream pie soda. Doesn't that sound delicious?
It does sound good, although I gotta say, the label on this bottle is hideous.
Why?
There's nothing appetizing looking about
that. We will
that
post this on Twitter. Is it Melba herself?
Well,
Melba's Fixins?
Melba herself doesn't help the cause here, but
it's not like a professionally photographed picture of cherry pie.
The photo of the cherry pie is hideous.
Well, this company, this is one of their boutique brands, Melba's Fixins. The name of the company is Rocket Fizz Soda Pop and Candy Shop, and they also make a key lime pie soda and a lemon meringue, cherries and cream, carrot cake soda. But if you think this picture is disgusting, some of their other sodas, bacon soda.
Oh, gosh.
Buffalo wing soda.
Oh.
How about a delicious glass of ranch dressing soda?
All right. I was going to apologize to Rocket Fizz for, denigrating their label there, but I don't apologize.
Coffee soda?
That might be good.
No, it wouldn't.
I can see that being good.
But I would drink a bottle of maple syrup soda.
I bet you would.
I bet you would, Ed. So what I'm imagining is they came out with these like wacky sodas like bacon and buffalo wing, and how much repeat business are you really getting on those? Like, you know, they're fun to try. They've been around for a while, so you see them in a store, you're like, oh, this would be fun to try, just like we're going to do here. And then they came out with, I can imagine, like, sitting down and having a key lime pie soda or something.
Sure.
But let's try Melba's Fixins. There's Melba right on the bottle. Say hi, Melba. Melba's Fixins cherries and cream soda in an old-fashioned soda bottle. We're going to pop the lid here. Oh, yes. And we will pour Diana a nice little glass of... Oh, listen to that fizz. This is like the reddest shade of red
It really
I've ever
is.
seen in my life. We're not kidding about that. This is like the kind of red where if you get it on your hands, it's going to stain your fingers for like a week. But
Yeah, I mean, this is Hawaiian Punch Red, so...
cheers, Diana,
Cheers.
to Twin Peaks on
right.
Showtime. Go ahead and take a sip. It smells like... See, my question is, how is it cherry pie soda? Is it just cherry soda? Because there's lots of cherry sodas, and I enjoy a cherry soda. Let me take a quick swig here.
It's a little bit different than just a straight cherry soda.
But not a whole lot different than cough syrup.
That's true. It definitely has some cough syrupy notes in there.
It's not as like downable as like a sun-kissed orange or something like that. It's a bizarre.
Well, it's very, very fizzy. It's very carbonated.
And it probably has a silo worth of sugar in it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's very sweet. But yeah, there's definitely another taste in there besides just cherry. So, you know.
it's cherries and cream.
Well, right.
It's the cream, Diana.
Right.
It's the cream that makes Melba's mouth water. What does that mean? So that's would you give it a Twin Peaks or just a single peak, Diana?
Maybe a peak and a half.
A peak and a half for cherries and cream soda. Check that out. We'll post it on Twitter, and you can also find all their other sodas on their website. They also, one of their other sodas that I found was interesting, Farrah Fawcett cream soda. Now, it's not Farrah Fawcett's cream soda, so is it like the cream of Farrah Fawcett? I don't understand what that's all about. But anyway, that soda benefits the Farrah Fawcett Foundation to support cancer research.
Not sure why that needs to exist, but okay.
Why not? Feel free to polish that bottle off if you want of Melba's Fixins, cherries, and cream. Folks, that's what's your favorite beverage. Hey, if you have a beverage that you think we should sample on the show, please, by all means, send us an email at what's your favorite at favemoviepodcast@yahoo.com. Let's talk about Twin Peaks. The television series was on from 1990 to 1991. I was in high school. Were you in high school?
I was in high school.
Okay. Because that's a little bit much of a show for like an 8th grader or under. But a 9th grader, hey, what the heck? So you were in the 9th grade probably, right?
Right.
So how did you discover Twin Peaks? How did that all go about? Did you watch it once and be like, wow, this is my jam?
I don't think I was really aware of it when it premiered. It was a mid-season replacement, and I wasn't really aware of it. But my best friend had watched it, and she was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And so she got me into it, and I didn't start, watching it regularly until season 2.
I think they ran it the first time, and it was super popular,
Right.
and they reran it over the summer.
Yeah.
Before
Right.
DVRs and everything else. Because I think I picked up on it in the summer and started watching it. Because it was so hyped, and it was like everybody. And up until that point, I don't think I've ever watched an hour-long drama. As you may or may not know from piecing together things from the show, folks, I'm not a big drama person. Not a big hour-long TV show. That's just too much time to spend. But Twin Peaks is good.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks is good. And over the years, you've kept your fondness of Twin Peaks.
I have.
I like and admire when a show goes off the air and people stay passionate about it. Like, just because it's not on anymore doesn't mean you have to stop liking it. So, you have a pet log that you carry around with you? You're like a log lady? No.
No.
I know you've never gone to a Twin Peaks like convention or anything,
I
right?
haven't.
That's one of your great unchecked bucket list
Yeah,
items.
kind of, yeah. I mean, some of them look horrifying, but there have been some events that have happened over the years that I'm just like, oh, I want to go to that so bad. I've never been to a single event.
They're usually out. Twin Peaks takes place in Washington State or Oregon. Oregon. Washington.
Yeah.
And the name of the town is Twin Peaks.
Correct. Well, it's a fictional town.
It's a fictional town. Where'd they actually film it?
Various places. Most of the TV show was actually filmed in the Los Angeles area after the pilot. They weren't able to continue to shoot.
It's expensive.
Yeah, they weren't able to continue to shoot in Washington. But yeah, some different towns in Washington have, been some of the at least the exterior shots.
So this was a TV series presented by David Lynch, who at the time was probably best known for his film Blue Velvet, which I hear is very disturbing.
It's pretty nightmarish, as are all of his films, really.
As are all of his films. So then for him to do television was like, what?
Well, he got hooked up with Mark Frost, who had done Hill Street Blues.
Ah, okay.
And so, I think a lot of what made it, sort of palatable for primetime television, of 1990 was probably due to Mark Frost's influence.
There you go. Yeah, because they probably said, from the creators of Hill Street Blues.
Right.
Yeah. And by the way, folks, people love their Hill Street Blues.
Well, that was a huge show.
Huge show, yes.
And so, yeah, I think, his Mark Frost is the one who I think sort of reined in Lynch for
TV.
For primetime television.
Oh, David Lynch. So let's talk about David Lynch a minute, because he is probably one of our most, what's the word I'm looking for? Auteurs? He's a filmmaker whose films have his signature on him, and he only does kind of his movies for the most part. You're not going to see him directing the next Mission Impossible or Spider-Man.
And in fact, his vision is so particular. He has said that he doesn't intend to do any more films at this point. That it's too difficult for him to, fully realize, what he wants to put into the film, that, it sounds like he's kind of done with filmmaking.
That's how I feel about this podcast. I can't get it all down in 1 hour. So let's just take a look at David Lynch's filmography leading up to Twin Peaks. Eraserhead in 1977, which is like a cult classic and a fave.
And extremely disturbing.
Yes, I was led to watch that by a female in my past, which most things of a disturbing nature were because a girl said, "Hey, let's watch this." Okay. So yeah, Eraserhead. It's black and white.
Yes.
It's strange. It's
very
dialogueless, correct? Or pretty much.
No, I mean there are long stretches where there's no dialogue, and it's very strange.
A lot of erasing. And then in 1980, he teamed up with Mel Brooks to direct The Elephant Man, which is not a comedy. That's based on a true story, I believe. Have you seen The Elephant Man?
I have seen that. It's an odd movie.
It's also in black and white.
Yes.
And not funny, even though Mel Brooks is associated with it.
It's probably I don't know. It's a hard movie to watch.
And then it's about a guy who's super deformed who lived in real life.
Right.
And then
it's at least inspired by.
Right.
Right.
And then at the end of the movie, Michael Jackson buys his bones.
That doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen in the movie. 1984, David Lynch directed Dune, which seems to be his one. I mean, was that supposed to be a big blockbuster science fiction hit? There's toys. There was toys of it and everything, and
it is so unwatchable.
Right.
I mean, what actually ended up being released is completely not David Lynch's vision, because it was all recut by the studio, and it's bad. It's just don't waste your time on that.
So you've seen that?
It's so bad.
It's over 3 hours long, isn't it?
It's terrible. It's long. It's awful. Don't waste your time.
So as a student of David Lynch, did he set out to make a blockbuster summer movie, or is it that just kind of what they took and they twisted it into that?
I'm not really sure what he was exactly trying to do with that movie, but like I said, what ended up being released is really not his work.
And then we get to 86 Blue Velvet, which is wacky.
It's disturbing, but I mean, it's very.
How is it disturbing? Give us one ungraphic detail of how it would be classified as disturbing.
Well, there's a lot of violence and strange sex, and there's a severed ear, I think.
Oh boy,
is the body part that's it's
that's severed.
It's
Is the severed ear and strange sex two different scenes, or is that? Let me watch Blue Velvet. All right.
Watch Blue Velvet.
I was making a note for myself. And then he did Wild at Heart in 1990, which I guess was right before Twin Peaks came out.
Well, he was kind of working on both at the same time.
So your David Lynchography, had you seen these before Twin Peaks, or did Twin Peaks propel you to go back and watch the David Lynch filmography?
Yeah, I hadn't seen any of Lynch's work prior to watching Twin Peaks. So, watching the show on TV was my first exposure to his vision.
Yes. Loves it. It reminds me of when Belinda Carlisle came out with Heaven is a Place on Earth, and I liked it so much I went back and got all the Go-Go's albums. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So then he does Twin Peaks, and like I said, it was a huge hit when it first came out,
Right.
but like just that first season, and then quickly the public lost interest by the end of the second season.
Well, a lot of the trouble there was that the network pushed him into revealing Laura Palmer's killer, after just a few episodes of season 2, which his intention was that, we might never find out who the killer is. But the ABC wasn't having that, so he got pushed into doing something he didn't want to do, and then the whole show just kind of went down the tubes, sadly.
It's interesting because now in TV, with so many more outlets. I mean, 1990, we were still looking at just the 3 networks, ... and Fox, giving us the majority of our filmed entertainment on television. But now with so many outlets and like these AMC and FX and HBO, like they just sure Showtime was just like, here, David Lynch, here's a truckload of money, make this show, do whatever you want, we don't care, just let us put it on TV when you're done. So he got free reign to do whatever he wanted. So which will make a better show probably. I think you're in for a treat because I think it's going to be awesome if he wasn't held back by...
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are a lot of very high expectations out there for, this return of Twin Peaks. Nobody really knows exactly what's going to happen.
That's good. That's cool.
They've been very, very tight-lipped about,
awesome.
What these 18 hours really are. But yeah, I mean, I think, everyone who is looking forward to the show, it's, one of the reasons for this anticipation is because, Showtime in 2017 is not ABC of 1990.
Right, yeah.
It's a very different thing. So.
It's a whole different ballpark.
It really is. But yeah, I mean, ABC of 1990 wasn't interested in, patiently waiting to see where Lynch was going to go in his, grand themes of, good and evil and whatnot.
Right.
They just wanted, a more of a, a procedural kind of thing of, somebody's dead. We're going to solve this mystery. Done.
So, and then Lynch didn't work a whole lot theatrically after Twin Peaks went off. Well, we did the movie Twin Peaks Firewalk with Me, which was supposed to finish up the series, put a nice cap on it.
Well, I mean,
extended.
It's technically a prequel to
That's true. Yes.
To the TV show, but I mean, it does tie together some of the things that were kind of left dangling from the abruptly canceled TV show.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, it's more of it's his vision of this character of Laura Palmer, not the network's vision. So
gotcha. Yeah, she's more of a. She's not dead when it starts, so she's in it a little more.
Correct.
And it's been running on Showtime this month, and I've seen people on social media comment on how incomprehensible it is, especially to someone who did not just watch Twin Peaks or watch it at all. Right. Even though they, like we talked about this when you were on the show before, they really plugged you don't have to watch the show. Come give us your $6 and come watch this movie. And then, even if you'd seen the show, it's like, whoa, slow down.
Well, I mean, if you've seen the show and you have put some thought into the TV show, the movie makes perfect sense.
Well, I don't put thought into things.
So. But if it's your first time, learning who these characters are, and it makes no sense. And yeah, anybody who said that it's, that you can watch the movie without having seen the show didn't understand the show.
Remember wasn't there a book too that was really pivotal? Wasn't the Diary of Laura Palmer?
Right. So
I read that.
Written by David Lynch's daughter, Jennifer
Lynch.
Nice.
She's going to come up again later. So he leaves. So he's done with Twin Peaks and does the movie, and then what's the movie, like 92, 93?
1992.
The movie also is in a very tiny little category that I love and am completely obsessed with, is TV shows that move to the big screen in one way or another. Either not like like The Fugitive or all these ones where they just like use the TV series as a inspiration to make a new film, but when like the show continues in theaters, or you just get the cast of the actual show in a movie close to the time of the series. Like Sex and the City has done that, and X-Files got a movie, and not like Star Trek, like that was later. Although Star Trek Next Generation, they went right from TV to the big screen, so that was pretty cool. DuckTales, that did it. And the Munsters, they had a movie. When the Munsters series ended, they got a movie. And the Flintstones, there was a movie right after that series ended. The cartoon, not the live action, but... It's all good, right?
Yes.
So he does Lost Highway in 97. My guess is you saw that with Bill Pullman and Patricia Arquette. Maybe not.
I'm not sure if I've seen that one. I don't think so. I don't think I've, at least not all of it.
And then by 1990, what's the only thing David Lynch could do to shock people still? He makes a G-rated movie. What? He directed My Little Pony. No, he directed The Straight Story in 1999. Have you seen this film?
Yes.
Diana, I saw it in the theater. Look at me.
Look at you.
Richard Farnsworth, who I love, and Sissy Spacek in a G-rated Disney film. Richard Farnsworth was nominated for a Best Actor for this. He was 79, the oldest at the time, the oldest guy nominated for a Best Actor. And he is, his brother is dying, and he hasn't seen him in a long time, and he doesn't drive, this guy, Richard Farnsworth, so he hops on his John Deere tractor and drives, I don't know how many miles, more than a couple of yards worth, like hundreds and hundreds of miles on his John Deere tractor, and meets all kinds of interesting characters and whatnot along the way. It's a really good film. The Straight Story, it's kind of like obscure now. You never see it pop up on TV, or I don't see it on DVD hardly.
But yeah, I mean, and we've talked briefly about it, in the past on this podcast. It's a nice movie.
Yeah.
But it still has some strange Lynch moments in there. So
I read David Lynch says that this is his most experimental film.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of wacky sex in it.
No, there's
in
no
this G-rated Disney film.
There's no strange sex.
No severed ears. And then he does Mulholland Drive in 2001, which I know a lot of people liked.
A lot of people did like that. I think I need to watch that again. The last time I watched it, I was just kind of like, I don't know about this, but
I don't know about this, David Lynch.
Yeah.
Favorite or so, and then between then 2001 and now, besides Twin Peaks, he's mostly done music videos and like little short films. No other big features on his list. No.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's focused a lot on his music and, some of the other stuff that he's involved in. But we haven't seen him on the big screen in quite a while.
Diana, it's time for What's Your Favorite Movie Fun Fact. Did you know David Lynch was offered by George Lucas to direct Return of the Jedi?
I did know that.
And he turned it down, said no thank you, unless you're going to put a severed ear in this movie. And George is like, I got a severed arm. Isn't that enough?
Right.
And David Lynch is like, can someone have sex with it? He's like, no. And David Lynch is like, I'm good. I am good. He was also offered to direct Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Turn that down. Where does it go when he does The Elephant Man in 1980 and then somebody with the Fast Times at Ridgemont High script's like, hey, you'd be good for this?
Right. That's what's so peculiar about both of those that you bring up. It's so hard to imagine either of those, being done by Lynch. It's so strange.
It's so weird. I think a thing with like a lot of film directors and just Hollywood in general is like, even if you make your own little film, like you personally finance it and or it's independent or whatever, and you do it, it's the assumption that what you really want to do is direct these big Hollywood movies. And almost every film director, no matter what, like had that one shot where they, even like somebody who's known for their independent films and had like that one shot where they did, it's like, wow, where'd that come from out of the blue? And it's like, completely out of character with the rest of their filmography. But David Lynch's Return of the Jedi, that would have been something else.
definitely would have been something else. Yes.
Some of David Lynch's favorite movies, because I like to find out all about favorite movies. Do you know what some of his favorite movies are? Sunset Boulevard, The Apartment, which I need to watch. I hear about that a lot. Movie I enjoy very much, Lolita from 1962. You ever seen that? Did we see that in the theater?
We saw that together.
We saw a double feature with that one and then the new one.
Right.
I think we walked out of the... Did we walk out of the new one?
No, I think we sat through it, but yeah, the new one
It was horrible.
Didn't need to be made.
Who plays Lolita in the original? Do you remember?
Oh.
I don't remember. Is it somebody?
I'm not sure. I can't remember. Right. I know... yeah, I'm not sure.
And who else is in that? It's... I know... Jeez, we should have done... Who's... Anthony Perkins? No.
No.
I know Peter Sellers is in it somewhere.
Right.
Whatever. It's about it's a 1962 movie about more wacky sex, more inappropriate sexual things. Sexual Things is also a new film David Lynch is working on.
No.
Rear Window, Vertigo, also some of his favorites, and The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. And he, heavily references, his favorite movies in his work.
Right.
So, like Madeline Ferguson, that character is named after the characters in Vertigo.
Nice.
And, the whole, one actress playing two parts, obviously, also influenced by Vertigo.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Look at that.
Yep.
Cool beans. Let's talk about some of the cast of Twin Peaks. And like I said, so Twin Peaks is on, and it's a big hit, and it makes some people known. So I like to look at the careers of who shot out of Twin Peaks, and it's like, hey, she's in a movie now. Let's start with Lara Flynn Boyle, who played Donna Hayward on the show. Give us a quick synopsis of who Donna Hayward was.
Right.
Because I don't remember. She was Lara's friend?
Right. Lara's best friend, who, as the TV show goes on, she gets involved with one of Lara's boyfriends.
She had a lot.
Lara, yes, she did.
She was what you called back in 1990, 1991, a trollop. Did we call him that?
I don't think so,
No.
but...
Promiscuous?
That was definitely part of the character, was that she was very promiscuous. But anyway, so, Lara's nice boyfriend, James, becomes involved with her best friend, Donna Hayward.
I remember something about a football being buried and something stuffed in the football. Is that a thing?
So there was a thing with drugs being hidden in
a football.
In a football.
And they buried the football.
And, whatever, yeah.
That was in episode 6, The Football of Twin Peaks. Do the Twin Peaks episodes have names? Aren't they just 1, 2, 3?
I believe they have names, but I don't know offhand.
We don't. It's inconsequential. So, all right. So Lara Flynn Boyle, while she's doing Twin Peaks, she also makes this movie called Where the Day Takes You, which we talked about. You and I talked about the other day, 1991, right. And this was. I don't recall this even in theaters. Was it in theaters, or I think it just went to DVD? I'm
not sure, but it felt at the time, and certainly now, this push to let's assemble all these hot up and coming stars.
So we have Sean Astin, yes, hot off Encino Man, or I guess he was maybe not into Encino Man yet. Balthazar Getty, one of the great names of Hollywood lore.
Well, he's actually in the new Twin Peaks coming up.
Balthazar.
So, yep.
What's one other thing Balthazar Getty has done? I don't know that name.
I don't know offhand.
I just like saying Balthazar Getty.
He's done TV work.
Oh, Balthazar.
He was on some.
At one time,
show.
An up-and-coming actress was known as Ricki Lake.
Yep. Before
she had a talk show and flushed a bit of that credibility down the toilet. Dermot Mulrooney.
Yes.
Is it Dermot?
Dermot
Mulrooney, who we're going to catch up with again later. Will Smith, which I think this is one of his first movies. Mm-hmm. And then also in some supporting roles, Kyle MacLachlan from Twin Peaks.
Yep.
Him and Lara knew each other already. Also in the cast, I just had to mention, Nancy McKeon, Joe from Facts of Life. Diana couldn't care less. She's not impressed, and you should be, though. probably, and now when we look at this list of her films, probably her most notable film role comes, and it's almost like a glorified cameo. In 1992, she played Wayne's ex-girlfriend in Wayne's World, and she's got quite a few scenes, and it was kind of cool to see her. And Wayne's World is filled with a lot of people in like kind of glorified cameos, like they're in more than one scene, but they don't really have much of a character. They're just kind of joke. Ed O'Neill's in it, and I think Donna Dixon's in it. So yeah, so she plays his ex-boyfriend. Do you have anything to add to that? Have you seen Wayne's World?
I have seen it.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. But no, it's just interesting because, I mean, that when that came out was a huge, huge movie.
Right.
And even that couldn't really propel Lara Flynn Boyle into a decent film career. So.
My wife can probably quote maybe 3 movies, and one of them is Wayne's World, because the ex-girlfriend, Stacy, gives Wayne a present, and it's a gun rack. He says, I don't even own a gun, yet alone enough guns to necessitate a gun rack. Anyway, so yeah, so she does Wayne's World, and then this is her big, now we get 2 movies where she's headlining, name above the credits. This is it, Lara Flynn. Get with it. The Temp, 1993. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
There are so many of these movies, and most of them from like 93, 94, 92, where, I could have said 92 to 94, where like just girl uses sex to get what she wants, and she's evil, and the poster is always like her with her legs like out folded. So I remember seeing The Temp, and it's like supposed to be like a thriller, and it's like ridiculously dopey and not hot or sexual or thrilling or tempy or anything like that.
Particularly watchable.
Right, probably that too.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the same time period of The Crush, which I do love. The Crush. The Crush is my favorite. Have I talked about that every time you've been on there on the show? Then she does Threesome with Stephen Baldwin and Josh Charles, which at the time in 94, just the title Threesome was probably fairly scandalous.
Well, Threesome, which is not to be confused with
another movie I have.
With, Three of Hearts?
Yes.
Which includes a different Baldwin brother.
And a different Twin Peaks girl.
Right. Which is not to be confused with Three to Tango, which came a few years later, which didn't involve anyone directly from Twin Peaks, but it's the same type of movie that, where it's kind of a threesome thing, and where, being gay is a hilarious punchline. Right. And yeah, these movies are bad. They don't hold up well.
No, because our attitude and acceptance of homosexualness in movies is so way different than it was in 94, just in movies and in society. So it's wacky.
Thank goodness.
Also, our acceptance of non-Alec Baldwins is a lot different now than it was in the 90s.
It's true.
I'm not sure it was very palpable in the 90s. Then that's it for, as far as I'm concerned, that's it for Lara Flynn Boyle. Her next film that I have noted here, she's the mom, so that tells you right there whenever someone is the mom that their career is on a downslide. She plays the mom of Baby Bink in the motion picture Baby's Day Out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Baby's Day Out. When there's a film called Baby's Day Out and I'm not going to recommend it to you, it's bad.
It's bad. Yeah, she was never really able to turn
that was it. Yeah,
her anything into a film career. I mean, she did a lot of TV.
Yes.
But then she did some weird things like dated Jack Nicholson and went to the Golden Globes in a ridiculous tutu.
Wait, say it. You said it earlier. She dated Jack Nicholson, and what happened?
And then her face melted.
Yeah, you know.
But I mean, really, if you look at her now, her face has melted.
Is she? She's not with Jack Nicholson now.
No, that was a brief thing. But he
probably bailed after her face melted off.
Well, I think her face melting came after the Nicholson thing, but the face melting I think started happening after wearing the ridiculous tutu to the Golden Globes. So.
I have to find a picture of that and put it on Twitter.
It's awful. It's really awful.
By the way, folks, make sure you download and subscribe our new podcast, What's Your Favorite Face Melting? It's going to be a new weekly show. So, Baby's Day Out is a 90-minute Tom and Jerry cartoon where this baby leaves the house and it's 90 minutes of him crawling on that thing that you see when they're building a construction site and they've got like the
I-beam.
the big beam on a little string, and he like crawls across it and like slides down and like lands in a gorilla's lap, and it just happens over and over for 90 minutes. And if you think Lara Flynn Boyle's career was in a downward spiral at that point, Baby's Day Out, written by John Hughes. So there you go. Lara Flynn also pops up in The Road to Wellville, which is a film about the
Kellogg cereal, weird medical spa thing.
Right.
I saw that in the theater, I'm sorry to say. It was not enjoyable.
And she's also done 132 episodes of The Practice, not a movie, but whatever. She turned up in Men in Black 2, and recently she played Witch Agnes in Hansel and Gretel Get Baked. Hansel and Gretel Get Baked, which is a pot horror film, a genre everyone loves.
Sure.
Right before Twin Peaks, though, she did a really good movie. This is worth seeking out if you've never seen it. How I Got Into College, 1989, a follow-up to Better Off Dead, which we talked about on our Christmas episode, and which I watched recently with my kids, and they loved it, and that was good. Better Off Dead. But How I Got Into College is really good, too.
Yes.
So...
But yeah, Lara Flynn Boyle didn't do Twin Peaks Fire Walk with me. She declined to participate in that. She will not be in the new episodes of there's no Donna Hayward character.
Oh, I was gonna say there's no Donna. So in the movie, she was replaced by Moira Kelly, right?
Correct.
Interesting.
But she's not in Moira Kelly is not in the new episodes either.
In the movie, if I'm not mistaken, if my perv sensors are not mistaken. In the movie, she does a nude scene, or she does some wacky sex.
You get to see Moira Kelly's breasts.
There you go. That's a nude scene. I would classify that as a nude scene.
Yes.
Interesting. How did I remember that?
I don't know.
I also remember a horse. That's all else I remember. But anyway.
A horse and Moira Kelly's breasts. That was pretty much the whole movie. That was it right there.
Also, folks, check out my new podcast, What's Your Favorite Moira Kelly Breast? It's only 2 episodes, but it's going to be a humdinger. Check it out. On iTunes. So let's move on to another one of the Twin Peaks girls, Sherilyn Fenn, who played Audrey Horne. Yep. Give us a quick synopsis of who Audrey Horne was.
So Audrey Horne was a classmate of Laura's. She wasn't really friends with Lara, but, they knew each other. Audrey is the daughter of the very wealthy businessman in town who was involved with Lara, who, was having an affair with Lara, and also Lara worked at his brothel.
One-Eyed Jack's.
One-Eyed Jack's.
I remember the brothel.
Yes.
Did the horse ever go to the brothel?
Possibly. I don't think we saw that on camera, though.
So Sherilyn Fenn wraps up Twin Peaks. She's in a movie called Ruby, which I think was a major release about Jack Ruby. She was... Curly's wife in Of Mice and Men, the 1992 Malkovich and Gary Sinise adaptation. Mm-hmm. And then here she comes, her starring role, the temp, if you will, another sex thing, Boxing Helena from 1993. Are you familiar with Boxing Helena?
I saw that movie. It wasn't good.
They like to put it in a box.
I don't recommend it.
She plays the aforementioned Helena. And it is about a surgeon who becomes obsessed with the seductive woman he was once in an affair with. Refusing to accept that she has moved on, he amputates her limbs and holds her captive in his mansion. More specifically, as the title suggests, in a box in the mansion.
Yeah.
And this movie is famous for Kim Basinger backing out of it and them suing her and vice versa. And she eventually settled out of court and had to pay the filmmakers $3.8 million for not wanting to be chopped up and put into a box. But Madonna and Kim Basinger turned it down. But Sherilyn Fenn was like,
sure, why not?
Sign me up, chop me up. This was written by Jennifer Chambers Lynch, who was and still is Lynch's daughter. So there you go. And I have a lot of notes about it, but we'll move on because we are running along. But co-star Julian Sands, who I couldn't tell you anything else Julian Sands was in, but he was in a lot of weird sex movies too.
He's done some not very good movies.
Some movies he chops girls up in boxes, some he doesn't. Here's Sherilyn Fenn in 3 of Hearts from the wacky, suggested threesome genre of film starring Baldwins and Twin Peaks, and then we'll put Kelly Lynch in there.
Yeah.
So this one's 2 girls and a guy.
Right.
The other one's 2 guys and a girl. It's totally different, Diana.
It's terrible.
It's totally it's a
just
different,
as terrible.
Different kind of terrible. And then Sherilyn Fenn was in Fatal Instinct, which is a airplane style parody of sex. We've said sex a lot in this episode. Sex thrillers like Basic Instinct and Fatal Attraction. And this was I love that type of movie. That's like my bread and butter right there. And I rewatched this the other night, and it's not good. Which
oddly
enough, I'm sure if I went back and watched a lot of this after Naked Gun was big, a whole bunch of people tried to do those kind of movies. I saw each and every one of them in the theater, and I'm pretty sure I liked them all, and I'm pretty sure they're all actually fairly terrible.
Yep.
So Sherilyn Fenn has resorted to a life of TV movies, reboots. She did an episode of the Outer Limits reboot. She did an episode of a Love American style reboot, and she was in the pilot for a reboot of Mr. Ed. She was going to play the wife in Mr. Ed, and that did not get picked up, and that's a darn shame.
And she played not 1 but 2 different unrelated roles on Gilmore Girls. So
there you go.
Figure that out.
Dang. And she played Sharon Murphy, perhaps the mother of Brittany Murphy, in the Lifetime movie The Brittany Murphy Story. So, yeah, and then Kyle MacLachlan, who we were gonna like make this really short, and it's like really long already. So Kyle MacLachlan is probably the biggest star from Twin Peaks to move on, and he's known for what's like some of his big stuff. He was in Sex and the City,
Right.
And he's been recently on S.H.I.E.L.D. He does a lot of TV.
He's done a lot of television.
He was on Desperate Housewives, I think. He was in a big arc for that. But when he got done with, and he was in Blue Velvet and Dune, David Lynch's other films.
Correct.
When he got out of Twin Peaks, he does The Doors, which I think he just has a supporting role in The Doors. He's not Jim Morrison.
No.
He's Other Door. He's
Other Door.
He's the next door down.
Next door, yeah.
And then in '94, he is in a big, huge blockbuster by the name of The Flintstones, ladies and gentlemen, where he plays Cliff Vandercave, the bad guy, along with Halle Berry as his secretary. Halle Berry plays Sharon Stone in The Flintstones.
Yeah.
You get it? Because her last name is
Yeah.
Anyway. So, yeah, Kyle MacLachlan, and I was going to go on and on, but we're running late, so we're going to speed that up. But Flintstones is just a magical motion picture that you should check out. I can't believe you've never seen it.
I've never seen it.
I only can't believe you haven't seen it that I didn't make you watch it somewhere along the way.
When was the last time you watched that, by the way?
Within the last 2 or 3 years.
Is it?
The kids and I have watched it, yes. Yeah. It's a go-to in this house.
Yeah.
I like it. I love it. It's just silly.
Your love of it has not diminished over the years?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's in my top 25 movies, probably. I would put it up there, up that high. It's just good, dumb, fun, and I like it. It is better than his next film, Showgirls.
Yeah.
So he goes from the remake of a beloved cartoon classic to one of the literally most vile films ever put on a silver screen. Showgirls, 1995. You've heard about it. You've probably seen it, folks. NC-17. To this date, really the only major studio release to be rated NC-17. And it's garbage.
It is.
From beginning to end. And I will quote producer Brian, when we walked out of that movie in 1995, he himself said, "What do you say about a movie that made TNA boring?" And that is true. It is horrible. There is an extremely graphic scene where Kyle MacLachlan is engaging in activities in a pool with Jesse Spano from Saved by the Bell. Mm-hmm. And that's that. You gotta, seriously, the level of sleaze that movie is that it was the first NC-17. It was a huge big deal when it came out. And, almost purposely well, let's cast a girl from a kid's show in it to just be more shocking. And it's not. It's garbage.
It's garbage.
It's garbage, folks. And I'm sure, as is the direct-to-DVD sequel, Showgirls 2. And then Kyle MacLachlan did The Trigger Effect, which I liked that movie.
I didn't care for that. I saw that in the theater when it came out.
As did I, with who else is in that? Elizabeth Shue.
Right.
Dear, dear, sweet Elizabeth Shue.
Right.
And
well, yeah, exactly. I think that's what, led me to want to see it when it came out was, I was like, oh, Kyle MacLachlan, awesome. Oh, Elizabeth Shue, I love her. And I did not love the movie at all.
Sadness, really. Sadness. But I enjoyed it because I have low standards. What other actors and films from Twin Peaks would you like to speak about real quick? Because we are short on time, but we had grandiose plans, and I think we spent the whole time drinking cherry soda.
Yes.
So, but who else is of note from the Twin Peaks cast? Those are really the only ones that went on and tried to grab the torch of Hollywood famedom. And Kylie MacLachlan has been pretty, I would say... What would he's been fine being would we call him a character actor? He just does supporting roles and pops up and he's just there.
I mean, he's definitely done a lot of work.
Yeah.
But yeah, has never really turned it into a huge, movie career. He's, I guess, really more of a TV actor.
Right.
David Duchovny,
Twin Peaks, yes.
Was he will be returning for the new episodes. He has a huge career, but has never really been that successful in movies either. He's done a few good movies and a whole bunch of really bad movies. But I mean, of course, the thing that he will always be known for is Fox Mulder.
Right.
And but no, I love his character in Twin Peaks, so I'm glad that he'll be returning, in that role for the new episode.
Not to dwell on the subject, but I think he has one or two pathetic softcore made for DVD movies where he's on the box.
He has
stark raving naked.
He's done quite a few things that are.
It's so weird. He should be a huge star,
right?
The X-Files is beloved. And he did Californication, which was a huge show, and that went on for a long time. And neither of them? What's her name? Gillian Anderson? No, Pamela Anderson.
Right, Gillian Anderson. I mean, she's had, I don't know. She's done a lot of work too, but has never.
You're not going to see either of their names above the credits in a movie ever anymore. Whatever.
Not in a good movie, anyway.
No, that's true. Not in a movie, not on a DVD shelf. If you can even find a DVD in a red box.
Can we talk very briefly about Joan Chen?
Let's talk about Joan Chen.
Because I find her career arc so perplexing. It's so bizarre. So Joan Chen, of course, was born in China. She played Josie Packard on the show. So she's native Chinese, and so she's done a lot of Chinese movies, which I'm not familiar with. So I can't speak to those, but I want to talk specifically about her directorial career. So she made, I can't remember what the year was on. These are both from the 90s, I think.
I don't think I wrote them down.
Yeah. So her directorial debut was a movie that she also wrote called Juju the Scent Down Girl. And, I mean, it's a very, very depressing movie, but, I mean, it's visually stunning. I saw this movie once, 16 or 17 years ago, and I still can remember, parts of it. It's just visually stunning. And so it seemed like a very good, debut for her. The only other feature-length movie that she has directed was Autumn in New York.
With Richard Gere and Winona
Ryder. Which is not a good movie at all.
Which is from the genre of film of let's come up with some excuse to have this couple together where there's a huge age discrepancy.
Right. It adds absolutely nothing to the, May-December romance thing. It adds absolutely nothing to the, final love affair before dying thing. It's not a good movie. And then those are the only two feature-length movies that Joan Chen has directed.
Does she still act?
She does TV work. She does, like I said, a lot of Chinese language work. But it's so peculiar because, her debut and her writing credit, it was a very good, depressing as hell, but a very
Especially
good movie.
for a movie named Shushu.
So yeah, I don't know why she hasn't been able to. Maybe she's just not interested in directing any more good movies. Right. But
maybe she's a real estate agent now. Who knows?
Perhaps she still acts. She was in Lust Caution a few years ago. You don't remember that movie?
No.
There was a big deal about that movie being released. It ended up being rated NC-17. It's also a Chinese language movie, but it's Ang Lee.
Okay.
So, it was a big deal. And this was coming off of his, Brokeback Mountain,
Sure.
success. It was a very huge deal. It got rated NC-17 because there's pubic hair. You can see pubic hair.
Can you? I don't know if you can say it on this show, but
I'm
I
sorry.
guess so.
I'm sorry, but no, I mean, that's
Sure.
really why it ended up with that rating is because, of body hair.
Right. We're down.
Yeah, it's a very good movie, but also fairly depressing. But she was in that. She's acted in some, fairly high-profile things, but still hasn't really been, a huge star.
Here's a unrelated what's your favorite movie fun fact. In, 50 Shades of Grey, to get the R rating, they had to computerly insert. Computerly, they digitally inserted. Her aforementioned hair is CG. And that's the truth. So it could get the R rating. Isn't that the dumbest thing in the world?
That is the dumbest thing ever.
That's America, ladies and gentlemen. Real quick, who cares, right? Whatever. What else did we have? We just had some other names that we would ramble on for on and on. Just like I mispronounced the name Mad Chinamik. It's actually
Machinamic.
And I've said it like that for 25 plus years. So, so all kinds of people going to be popping up. Most of the cast is back for the new.
Most of them, yes. There are sadly some that have passed away.
On, yes.
Passed away since, and so will not
Will
be
there
appearing.
be, to your knowledge, are there any characters are there any actors that have passed away and their character will be played by somebody different?
Not that I'm aware of.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
That's commendable.
Yeah, it is. It is. But, there are several actors that do appear in the new episodes that have since they were filmed, passed away.
Oh, okay.
So Miguel Ferrer is no
Right.
longer with us.
Oh, Miguel.
Warren Frost is no longer with us. David Bowie is no longer with us.
That's true. Yes.
So,
okay. He was in the movie.
So yeah, he was in Fire Walk with Me. He won't be in the new
Right.
the new series. Sadly, he was supposed to be. His character of Philip Jeffries was supposed to be in the new episodes, but he had already passed away. So,
sadness for David Bowie. Well, folks, I think we're going to call it quits right here, but check out Twin Peaks on Showtime and its associated networks, and then probably 15 other ways of watching it. And you are very excited to catch this program at your earliest convenience.
So excited.
Right.
So excited.
That's awesome.
I hope I'm not disappointed.
I am excited for you, and at least it's 18 episodes, and that might be it. Unlike the Muppets, that was canceled, and I will never, ever get over that, folks. Again, ABC. As soon as they announced the murderer in the Muppets, it was all.
That was it.
It was all
That was
whatever, Ed. Whatever, Ed. All right, folks. Well, thank you, Diana. Thank you for joining us on What's Your Favorite Movie, America's favorite movie podcast that no one listens to.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Ed.
Yes, and talking all about Twin Peaks. Hey, folks, our Twitter is at WYF Movie Podcast, and our email is favmoviepodcast@yahoo.com. Let us know what you think about Twin Peaks. Let us know what your favorite movie with Twin Peak alumni is. Tell us what's your favorite movie about a threesome featuring a Baldwin brother and cast member of Twin Peaks. All right? And also what your Baldwin acceptable levels are nowadays, minus Alec. Guys, if you liked what you heard, please, by all means, share the show on your social media, tell your friends, and until next time, as always, it's khaki wishes and cookie dreams.